Well, hello everyone and welcome to Momentum channel. My name is Mo and in this video, I'm super excited to be welcoming one of the Blossom users, Anthony. Welcome to the show, Anthony.
Thanks for having me, Mo.
Yeah, Anthony, I know I've seen a lot of your posts. You're super passionate about the field that you're studying in and actually put your money where your mouth is.
So I'm Anthony, I'm 20, I live in Montreal. I'm studying in aerospace engineering. I recently graduated as an aerospace engineering technician. I began my investing journey back in December 2023 when I was looking to invest scholarships I was receiving. Here in Quebec, between high school and university, we go to Cégep first. It's a place where you can become technician to have more technical background before going to university. And the Quebec government was offering scholarships to program where there was labor shortage, such as engineering. So I was receiving $1,500 each semester, and this amount was sitting in my bank account, and I didn't know what to do with it, and I didn't want to spend it, of course.
Mhm.
So I started to look on the internet. I was looking on YouTube too, and found more channel among many other YouTube channels on finance. And I discovered how to invest my own money. And as you all probably know, I'm passionate about aerospace, and I've been following many aerospace companies for years.
Mhm.
And I was particularly interested by Rocket Lab. And the first stock I bought was both Apple and Rocket Lab. So I started with both companies, and I was also really um, captivated by ETFs, like
Mhm.
basket of stocks, how it could like simplify an investment portfolio.
Mhm.
And my first post on Blossom was asking what ETF to buy. So I started there, and 1 year and a half later, I was at the stock exchange closing the market with many Blossomers. So the the it's really impressive to see how in a really short period of time, I went from knowing nothing to closing the stock market. And
What
yeah,
an amazing journey. Like even that
yeah, the
milestones, like
journey is
reflecting.
really impressive. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is, got you kind of interested in some of those small cap aerospace stocks? Is it that typically those stocks in this domain are considered to be smaller players, or are there actually other big players in the field?
Yeah, most of them are small players, like those I'm investing. They are they are big players like Lockheed Martins, but it's more like diversified and more concentrated to defense or
Hmm.
things like that. So it's not particularly aerospace, like just the space side.
Hmm.
The biggest player is probably SpaceX, but it's not public. So the next are Rocket Lab at 10 billion of market cap, um, AST Space Mobile also, um, and many others. I'm also investing in two other space stocks, which are also small caps, Intuitive Machines, and MDA Space, which is Canadian.
Okay.
And what drew me to aerospace stocks is really my passion. I know a lot about the industry, and many people like on Blossom that I'm sharing my knowledge, and you know, many were investing in Rocket Lab without knowing like some details. And um, I think my knowledge, like putting my knowledge
Hmm.
into uh, sharing my knowledge at a lot of people, um, like understanding what they're investing into. And I think it's part of what has been successful for my strategy so far is really to invest in companies I understand the business model,
Hmm.
and not like putting my money into some random
Random
small cap
companies. Yeah.
company and
Yeah. Yeah.
hoping something is the company becomes successful and
Yeah.
otherwise losing money. So yeah, so far I think the strategy has been um, successful.
Hmm.
I'm also investing in an energy company,
Hmm.
another small cap, but that's where I see it's not my field, because so far this investment has not really been successful
Yeah.
compared to my space stocks. So yeah,
I was gonna ask on that one. So, when you reflect like on like the past 1.5 to 2 years of roughly investing, what have been some of your biggest lessons learned? And maybe if you can even reflect on some of your successes and sometimes even failures.
my first failure was in February, 3 months after I started. I experienced my first FOMO, fear of missing out. My second biggest position, Intuitive Machines, they were planning to land their lunar lander on the moon, and the hype was massive. People were, the stock was going like that vertical. So I was caught in FOMO, so I FOMO'd, and this was my first lesson because the following months I've been deep in the red, minus 50%, 60%, because before it really recovered. So it took a lot of time, and during that time I had to think to think about what I was doing wrong, why did I FOMO, and how to not FOMO again and do the same mistake again in the future. And it's a bit like the engineering principle of not doing the same mistake twice. I think I've applied some of my like
Learnings
some of
from
my
your school, right? Yeah.
exactly, yeah, to not like do the same to not do the same mistake twice. And yeah, so over the next couple of months I learned strategies like dollar cost averaging, which I applied. So it allowed me to decrease my average price to well below what it was. So I recovered pretty quickly in the following months because they had new contracts and new catalysts that made the stock go a little more up.
And then ultimately managed to kind of so the one lesson or essentially from the not to fall into the trap of like fear of missing out, right? So
Yeah,
not rushing into it
exactly.
just because like oh
Just
it's a
because
hot
it's
stock
up,
and there's
and
momentum. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's something not to do, especially if you're. I mean, all investors should not do FOMO, but especially if you are new to investing, you are not like you don't know necessarily that it's FOMO, but you notice it after all. So yeah,
It's
it's
good that
really
you took that
important to.
time to reflect on it as well and to kind of reflect on like, okay,
Yeah,
what went
definitely.
wrong? What,
Yeah,
yeah, what did I learn from it? It's great as well that you're applying your learnings from your engineering field back to your investment journey. So that's really good. How do you, Anthony, balance? I know earlier on you touched on a little bit of that, like, you were trying to invest the scholarship money that you got and with the goal of course, hopefully growing it to a larger amount. How do you balance the risks that comes with investing in some of these smaller cap companies, even though you're trying your best to do some research with more of a longer term financial goals that you may have?
sure. So I have two strategies. Actually, I have one strategy, but it's subdivided in two sub-strategies.
Hmm.
So the first one is a rebalancing strategy. So the goal is my philosophy is like what compounded must continue to compound in the future. So it sounds logic, but applying it is something more um, like it's more difficult to apply it because, for instance, I made one of my biggest win is with Rocket Lab, where I did
Hmm.
500 gains, and at some point I had to sell, but I didn't know where to put that gains,
Hmm.
and I could have invested that gain into like the energy company where I'm down 50%, but maybe it's not the best uh, idea because that company is not the highest quality company in my portfolio, and maybe that stock will just go bankrupt in the next coming years. So it's not the best choice. So my rebalancing strategy is to always aim for rebalancing into a much higher quality company. So, for instance, I rebalanced into Amazon, um, uh, a blue chip. So it's relatively financially stable, and in terms of growth, it's been growing as well for the past couple of years. So I think it's a safe choice. And I'm particularly bullish on their mega constellation project. So they're also a bit in the space industry as well. So
Interesting.
yeah, it's cool. And my second strategy is using an all-in-one ETF. I'm using FEQT, which for me it's my favorite all-in-one ETF. But basically they're all like the same. So yeah, it's just like personal preference. So FEQT, I'm using it to balance volatility. So when I go through volatile times, like the market sell-off we went through a few months ago, I increased my FEQT allocation. So my portfolio was less volatile because in normal times I have 66% in small caps in my portfolio and space stocks, and perhaps 80% in space stocks. So it's a lot, and small caps, sorry. So it's a lot. So to balance things, I have FEQT to reduce volatility.
I know your dad is also on Blossom, and he's
Yeah.
also done a lot of research in terms of like posting how has the rebalancing of FEQT changed, the proportion, how's
Yeah.
that performing and whatnot. How does it feel to have your dad as well on the Blossom? Did he join Blossom before you?
No, I'm the one who tell
Oh,
him
did
to
he?
join
Okay.
Blossom. Yeah. So yeah, it's really fun because every day at 4 p.m. we share up our portfolio and
Oh, that's
like
amazing.
our win or losses, and it's like we've done that for more than a year now, and
Oh,
it's
that's
really
great.
nice. And when we learn something, we share it together to learn together, and
Yeah.
it's collaborative. And of course, it's not into small caps
Yeah.
and space
Aerospace.
stocks, but yeah,
Yeah.
but so we don't have the same like portfolio. So
Yeah.
but it's fun to have like to learn something at the same time, even though
Together,
we
right?
don't have together, even though we don't have the same portfolio and the same risk tolerance or tolerance to volatility, and we can still like learn together some things and common. Yeah.
What is your one dream aerospace project that you would love to be part of?
Oh, that's a great question. Actually, my dream will be to start one day an aerospace company, because to me, like there's a market, but in Canada, there's like we don't launch any rocket in Canada, and there might be a market for that because we depend on United States, but in Canada we don't have a launch provider. So might be interested to dig into that and maybe one day start a space company in Canada.
That would be so cool. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you would have the entire Blossom support there, Anthony. Go for it. That's really good. Thanks for sharing that with us. Um, I think we didn't quite touch on that, but well, let's go there as well. What is your favorite stock or ETF, and tell us why as well. And again, in saying that, I want to caveat that just because we in our show we talk about like for example favorite stocks or ETF, you're not suggesting by any means that folks should go blindly invest in those. That's not the intention.
Yeah.
It's more of a fun entertainment question, and more so interested in the perspective of why, for example, Anthony or others are considering this or that stock. That's really the entire. We're not financial advisors or financial professionals by so any
Of
means.
course, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go with my favorite ETF because most know on Blossom that I'm a fan addict of Rocket Lab. So let's go with FEQT. It's my favorite ETF, but like I said previously, it's more like a preference because all in one will in the end will bring the same return, and it's as diversified as others. So my favorite ETF is FEQT, which is a factor-based all-in-one ETF. So it's it's a little different than XEQT, HEQT, ZEQT, and others market cap-based ETF. Fidelity manage that ETF and will rebalance the underlying ETF periodically
Periodically.
throughout the year. And how the ETF is made is that it's divided in international, Canadian, and United States, and there's a 5% in small caps, 3% in cryptocurrencies. I think it's Bitcoin. And it's again subdivided for each region. So in United
Mhm.
States, they have four underlying ETF. Fidelity will also rebalance these underlying ETFs and it's kind of cool because, like, in a sense, it's more diversified because it's companies that don't have a lot of of weight and market cap based ETF,
Mhm.
but in another sense, it's less diversified too because it's not market cap based. So some companies like Tesla won't or Meta won't have the same weight that in XQT,
Mhm.
and some would just not be there. So it's a different strategy, and it's
Yeah.
really interesting. Yeah,
It's very fascinating as well, like how the all-in-one ETFs as well over the years kind of evolve too. And I wouldn't be shocked
yeah,
if like with the more and more interest in set it and forget it type of investments, there would in future there would be more and more products. And I'm super actually glad that FEQT is doing very well, and it's fascinating because it's like factor based, right? So as you're
yeah.
pointing it as well, so
And it's
would be
active management. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
traditionally, active management won't beat passive
yeah.
management. So it's really interesting to see how it outperformed over the past couple of months. Yeah.
Yeah. Anthony, do you see your life more of a carefully engineered path or more of an exploratory mission, and why?
Probably a carefully engineering path because I because of my background, but I love to I love to plan things out. And when I started investing, I thought of some goals for the future, and like one of that goal was buying a piano, which is just
Yeah. Just
there.
behind us. Yeah, I
And
can see.
yeah,
There we go.
and that was one of my goal, and I achieved that. So I follow that route, and like um, um, doing my research and like make sure everything is good for the future, that it will continue to work
Hmm.
also. I think it's more in the aspect of an engineering path rather than an exploratory mission. But also, I think both are kind of flexible because even though I plan things out and want to make sure like I follow a trajectory and
Hmm.
it doesn't change. Of course, I will learn new things as I continue to evolve as an investor, and of course, I will also make mistakes. So I will have to adjust my strategy perhaps in the coming years. And as I get older, I will have to decrease my allocation to small caps to reduce the risk as well. But yeah, my goal will be to fire in 15 years. And to achieve that, of course, I will have to decrease my risk drastically in the coming years because otherwise I might not be able to fire
To accomplish
because
that? Yeah. By far, you're
yeah,
talking about the financial independence, retire early, right? So essentially getting to
right,
that
right,
level.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. That's
So my goal would be at 35 right now. I'm particularly optimistic, but
yeah,
I think it's doable with
yeah.
the boost some of my investment I've made so far. It gives me a boost. Like if I didn't invest in some companies, I think I would be 5 to 7 years behind what I'm now, thanks to my financial decisions I made. Um, yeah,
Earlier on. So that's good. And of course, we know the stock market can go up and down, but that's why you continuously as well yourself. Like I know you're continuously researching the companies that you're invested in. You've also are investing in some of those, like in this case, FEQT as an example, like more of a
yeah.
all-in-one ETF as well. Are you gradually trying to invest more into money, or no? The initial seed that you've put in right now, that's the only one, and you're trying to use that money.
My initial goal was really
Yeah,
to start investing to save for university.
yeah,
So, but that goal was achieved because now I have more than needed for university. So
yeah,
it's really great. Um, but I don't have like an income,
yeah,
a regular income to invest like other investors will
yeah.
have because
They're already in their working careers. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So it's really like more like rebalancing and make
Yeah.
sure my my strategies are still valid. But I'm not like um, like I can't dollar cost averaging because I don't have an income to inject every like a week or month. I've always been self-taught myself things. Like at 8, my dad taught me how to code web pages in HTML.
Amazing.
Yeah, and in my teenage years, I've learned how to program in many languages, and I got to win the Apple Swift Student Challenge, which is a programming competition, a worldwide programming competition,
Wow.
and got the opportunity to showcase my projects in California last year. So I've always taught myself things, and I love to solve problems and learn new things. So I I love that. And yeah, so my piano behind,
Yeah.
it was a dream for a long time because I love classical music and I never had the opportunity to learn an instrument. But doing great financial decisions and allowed me to buy that piano and
Yeah.
realize my dreams.
Hey, you gotta promise us, Anthony. Once you have like one of your first pieces, your favorite pieces that you like, maybe one day come back on the show and perform it for us, or at least post a video on Instagram
Of
or on
course,
Blossom. Even better on
yeah.
Blossom, because I know
Many
the.
people on Blossom suggested to do Rocketman
Oh,
because
oh yeah, that would
most
be.
call me Rocketman on Blossom, so
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that would be
I will
awesome.
have to do it. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea. Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. I have one other question for you. If you were, if your life actually were to be a headline in the next 10 years from today, what would you like it to say? And what would you essentially assume that would say about you?
4 words: invested early, living fully.
Oh, I love that. I love
So
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, my next goal is to become financially independent. So I hope in 10 to perhaps not in 10 years, but in 15 to 20 years, I hope that this headline will be true. Like I started early. I have more like room for compounding over time, and I hope that and at that time I can fully live thanks to my investment and retire early too. Yeah.
I think I have mentioned it even in several comments on Blossom on your post
Yeah.
that I really love how passionate you are about it. Like it's like the passion comes through, and even now talking to you, I can still see how passionate you are about it. Because and you're also one of those folks that is not just like pure passion. Because sometimes, okay, it's great to be passionate about something, but you keep it at that. It's not like that. You actually like you're genuinely interested in pursue it. And I know if I recall, I've seen some of your posts. Did you visit at some point like some of the Teslas, what would you call it, like,
Yeah, I
facilities and
visited.
whatnot too?
Yeah, there's SpaceX facility in South
Yeah,
Texas, now
yeah,
called Starbase. Yeah.
yeah,
So I had the opportunity to go with my dad
yeah.
in South Texas. We did a road trip from Montreal to South Texas, and
Oh
we
wow,
visit we visited SpaceX facilities, and it's really impressive. Yeah.
that's so cool. That's
Like
awesome.
it's giant. The rocket is like 70 meters tall. Just the booster is 70 meters tall. The second stage, the rocket is 50 meters tall. So it's
Wow.
giant. Yeah.
Wow. Do you have any words of wisdom or thoughts or any advice from your perspective for Blossom investors that who might be in your first in the first shoes in the same shoes, sorry. So those who might be young, okay, they are still studying, maybe they don't have a lot of money. It's like, oh, I'm not sure where to start or how to start. What are your thoughts or advice essentially to them?
I would say to not be afraid to get started. When we start, it's a bit intimidating. Like we don't know all the words and how things work. But Blossom helped me a lot to get started, and I don't think I would be as developed as an investor without Blossom because I learned a lot from it, from posts from many creators there, and I would say do not invest more than you spend because otherwise you will have to remove some of your investments. And in terms of compounding, it's not great, but at least when you start early, you have more room for compounding than the average investor. So it's really great to get started as soon as possible. Ideally, when you're 18, as soon as you can open a brokerage account in your region, go for it. And even if it's $5, at least you can learn
Mhm.
like how it works, and it's great. like it's great knowledge for the future for because if you want to manage your money, your investment in the future rather than using mutual funds or like not doing it from yourself, at least like by starting young, you can learn how it works and maybe apply it in the future when you have an income and more money to invest. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, starting early, allowing the time, and even if it's as small, that's fine. Still, over time is gonna allow you, and you learn too through that the whole journey. Like
Yeah.
sometimes early
And
on, you learn about your own kind of how
yeah, and I
personal.
would add as well to make sure you understand how the business you invest works. It for me, it's the most important thing. Like more than the financial statements of more than reading financial statements from companies. If you can't understand how a company make its money, you just like you putting you put your money and like hoping it will work, but it's pretty like gambling. You don't like understand the companies
Hmm.
you invest, but you really have to understand how it works, like how they sell their services and how they generate money, at least. And then if you get started, then focus at learning how to read financial statements and and I
And
think
gradually
that
you go from
yeah,
there, right? Yeah, no,
yeah,
100%.
right.
Yeah, Anthony, thank you so much for your time. It's been great,
Thanks for
super
having
great
me,
talking
Mo.
to you. Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on
Yeah,
the show. I hope to talk to you soon and
thanks.
continue your amazing post on Blossom.
Thank you.
Yeah.